Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Barranco and thank you for taking the time to check out this drum video. You won't be disappointed. The video that this is going to be geared towards is beginners to intermediate level drummers. The topics we're going to be covering are technique, rudimental training, and creative drumming. The idea behind creative drumming is that you don't necessarily have to be sitting behind your drum kit every single time to come up with some great ideas and concepts. You could just be sitting right in front of your practice pad kit, practicing your rudiments, and be inspired to come up with a rhythm that you could bring to the drum kit, your band, or your own solo ideas. So let's get started on the tools that we're going to need for these exercises. The first thing I'm going to show you is a metronome. Every drummer needs to have one of these. A metronome is just as important to a drummer as a speed bag is to a boxer. It keeps you under control, keeps your dexterity, and gives you a good practice, steady pace that will keep these concepts going at a comfortable rate. The next thing you're going to need, which is pretty obvious, is a pair of drumsticks. For these exercises, what I like to do on the practice pad is I like to use a heavier drumstick that I normally wouldn't use on the drum set. Okay, so you see right here, I have a pair of marching drumsticks, which is a very strong, dense wood. Anytime you're practicing with a heavier stick, you're going to build up a higher level of endurance and strength, which when you do approach the drum kit with your regular size sticks, which could be anywhere from 7A, 5A, 5B, rock, you're going to have that more endurance to keep practicing longer, keep playing longer, and your technique is going to be a lot better. The one thing that I advise you to do is not jump from, let's say, a 7A to these marching sticks, if that's all you've been practicing on. You could possibly do damage to yourself. A lot of drummers sometimes, if they're using too much of a heavier stick that they're not prepared to do, and they do a really long practice, like an hour-long practice, you might end up doing damage to yourself. You could do damage to your tendons, possibly create carpal tunnel for yourself. So believe me, always go gradually and consult a physician before you start straining yourself on any type of exercise. And finally, the last tool you're going to need is a practice pad. As you can see here, there's two sound sources on this practice pad, okay? In the center you have gum rubber, and on the outside you have hard rubber. The idea behind this in this practice pad is so that you can create different variations and combinations of different sound sources, so that way when you're doing your rudiments or doing any sort of practicing, you'll be able to come up with different ideas and concepts that you can apply to the kit. For example, so I was mentioning before technique. Now, before I even get into the stick positions, let's just talk about the way you should sit. The way I like to sit on the stool, you always keep your back up straight and your shoulders square. A lot of times you'll see a drummer slouching and playing on his kit. That's completely bad posture, and at some point it might actually end up giving you more harm than good to your back. So you always want to sit up straight with your shoulders square. A lot of drummers ask, how high should I sit or how low should I sit? I always like to sit high enough to where a good idea would be the bottom of the seat meets the back of your kneecap. No matter if you're sitting on someone else's seat and you need to adjust it, or maybe like a studio room seat or a house kit seat, as long as you keep that concept in your head, you always kind of be in the vicinity of how you're comfortable sitting. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of technique involved when you're practicing. You want to practice proper technique, and I'm going to show you how to do so. You have three types of grips that you could choose from. You have German grip, which your thumbs are facing inward. You have French grip, where your thumbs are facing up. And then you have traditional grip, which you'll see a lot of old school players and jazz players still playing like that, with your stick in your fingers like so. Okay? Now, I'm right dominant, so I would put the stick like this in my left hand. If you're left dominant, you're going to put the stick in your right hand. Okay? But it's whatever's comfortable for you. As you saw in the beginning of the video, I prefer match grip German style. When you want to hold the stick properly, you put your thumb and your index finger together like this. Now, you want to hold the stick tight enough to where if you swing the stick, it's not going to flow out of your hand. It's just not going to fly out and hit yourself or somebody in the face, okay? But you want to hold it loose enough to where someone could pull it out of your hand. And that's something that you're going to have to develop with over time. You're going to put the stick in this little pocket right here, and your thumb index finger in that pocket is how you're going to guide the stick. Then you take these 3 fingers and you wrap it around the stick. I like to call these 3 fingers the trigger fingers. The reason why I call them the trigger fingers is because this is where the motion is coming from. So when you're playing like this, it's almost like bouncing a handball off a table. Same type of motion. Now you don't want to make the mistake that I see a lot of drummers doing, and they keep their pinky up after a while without realizing it while they're playing. This is a bad habit to get into, and you're reducing the amount of power that you could throw into your stick. So if you haven't gotten into that habit yet, don't do it, and keep it true this way. Alright, so let's talk about some of the rudiments that I was using in the video. I was doing a variation of a paradiddle and a paradiddle diddle. The paradiddle, for some of you that may not know, is it doesn't really matter which hand you start off with. You can start off with the right or you can start off with the left, but you're going to reverse it in the pattern. And what I mean by that is the paradiddle goes right, left, left, right, left, left. And as you saw in the video, I was accenting the downbeat of each one, played it in a 16th note pattern. When you're putting it together at a common pace, it's going to sound something like this. The other rudiment that you saw me playing in the intro was a paradiddle diddle alongside the paradiddle. The paradiddle diddle's pattern, if you're starting with your right hand, it's going to be right, left, left, left. And then if you're starting with left, right, right. Now, I was playing that in a 16-note triplet pattern, which I was accenting every downbeat. What I mean by a triplet 16-note pattern is that you're basically playing triplets, but within the rudimental form of the double when you're laying it down. I have the metronome set to 61 BPMs right now, just so you could see it the way that I'm describing it. Here we go. Okay, so that wraps up this video. Now I hope you understand what I meant by the creative concepts. Take the technique, take your rudiments, and take your tools, get on your practice pad, and go at it. Let your imagination fly. However, the one thing I always recommend is that you find your own private drum instructor if you don't have one already. The reason why I say this is because if you're doing something slightly wrong, you're not one of my students. I can't correct you on the spot if I can't see what you're doing. Your drum instructor will be able to do so and eliminate any possible bad habits that you could be getting yourself used to in the future. So once again, I'm Dominic Barranco. Thank you for checking out my video. Subscribe to my page and you'll be able to always see any of my future endeavors. Happy playing.